Hey guys, how's it going? James here, Audio.etc. I just wanted to give you another quick video of another system that we've installed into a cool classic car. This is a 1971 Ford Zodiac and it's really nice. We think it's had some restoration work done, and basically what happened was we installed a reversing camera and a mirror monitor into a late model Range Rover with his camper van, and we did all that, and he was really impressed with our work, so he said, well, you can put some sounds in my classic Ford for me. And so that's what we've done. He dropped it off the next day. We've figured out a sound system and we've gone ahead and installed it, rundown wise. So what we've installed is we've installed here a Alpine CDE 163 EBT. It's the latest top of the line Alpine, like stereo, Bluetooth, USB, auxiliary, all those features obviously, as well as sound features like a 9-band parametric EQ, time alignment, high voltage prearts, the works. So that's just obviously flush mounted into there, and I've set the colour to like a dull red to try and match the sort of red interior of this car. Front speakers, it's going to be hard to see, let me just turn a torch on my phone. Okay, so we've got Alpine SPR 50. These are 5 1/4 inch coaxial speakers mounted into the kick panels. Obviously one on the left, one on the right, if you can see it over there. I did originally want to put 6.5 inches in. The reason we didn't is obviously just because in behind these kick panels there's a whole lot of metal and there just wasn't going to be enough depth and room to sort of cut it. We did have to cut some metal in behind here, because there is, I'll see if I can position my phone. So there is like a bit of a hole just here, but we had to extend that hole up to here to allow the speaker to sit in, because we didn't want it to be in the pocket, obviously. It had to be up out of the way. But anyway, we've got those in there and they sound really good. Not a whole lot of bass, obviously. They are 5 1/4 inch speakers in quite a small space, but there is no need to worry about bass, because in the back seat here, over the back, we've got Alpine SPR 69s, 6x9 Type R speakers, one there on that side, one there on that side. Originally he had a couple of box speakers just sitting up on the shelf here. This here was already here. It's just a random sort of 8-inch grill, because there is an 8-inch hole there for like a factory subwoofer or something like that. So what we did was we installed these Alpine 6x9s, and I also said it would be a really good idea if we sounded in the tray as well. So I've done that. I'll quickly pop a picture up here. So I sound deadened the whole tray, prevents it from rattling, and also seals off all the other gaps, which you'll see. I'll put some photos at the end of this video, or you can check them out on the Facebook page. So obviously there's a whole lot of holes all the way along here. So sound deadening sealed all that off. Mainly sealed off this big one, which would be like a big 8-inch port. Sealed that off with a couple of layers of Dynamat. We've got a sticker there just to represent. Also, Alpine Type R looks really good in this car, because red is the Alpine Type R colour. So being a red interior, red speaker emblems, everything just looks really good. Sounds really good as well. That's the whole rundown, guys. It was about a couple days worth of work. Not a whole lot of equipment to have to do, but still a decent amount of work. Obviously we ran new speaker wires from the front all the way to the back and into the kick panels. Didn't want to use anything factory or thin. We used nice hunky 5-amp wire, and it is just being powered off the head unit. But honestly, in this car with those 6x9s in the tray, you don't need an amplifier, and I'll show you why. I'll try and give you a quick demo, but this camera might, obviously any camera is not going to give you the full experience of what it sounds like in the car, but I will give you a quick demo because these sound amazing. So I'm just going to play a song off Bluetooth. Okay, this song, I was playing it earlier, and as soon as I played it, Grant came out of the office upstairs and said, "Did you install a subwoofer?" That's how, like, we've done a few of these sort of classic cars, Fords, Holdens from this sort of 70s and 80s range with the huge boots, and Type R 6x9s on the parcel tray always sound amazing, and literally you don't need a subwoofer. They sound that bassy, they're that good. Okay, so I'm going to turn the volume up a bit. There's so much sub bass in this, it's not, you wouldn't know that there was no sub, it's crazy. Alpine Type R, amazing speakers. Amazing. Sounds like there's an amp. Promise you, no amp whatsoever. It's super loud. These speakers are highly efficient. They have a 110 watt RMS rating, a 330 watt peak power rating. So this is why these are our favourite speakers to install. They're not too pricey. They're highly efficient, so you can run them straight off a head unit, like even a cheap Chinese one. And they have a big power rating, and which means you can amplify them with a high power, 4-channel amplifier or something like that. The other reason we love them, I'll show you. So this is the other reason we love them. Look how tiny this magnet is. I don't know if you can see it. Like, it's not a big magnet, it's tiny. And it's cool as well, it's like not warm at all, especially after that run. Tiny little magnets, and that goes for all of the Type R range. 6x9s, 6 inches, components, coaxials, 5 1/4 inches. So they've got tiny magnets on them, are highly efficient, incredibly powerful, and not too pricey. That's all the makings of a great all-round speaker. This is why they are our most popular speaker, and definitely our favourite 6x9s in this era of classic sort of cars. They just sound amazing, just because the boot is so big. That's why they work so well. The boot is so big that it turns into a great big sub box with a resonant frequency of somewhere between 40 and 50 hertz, and that's like, we get people coming in saying that they want a sound system in one of these cars with a subwoofer, and we just say, no, you don't need a sub. You don't need a sub. All you need is 2 6x9s and maybe a bit of sound deadening, to prevent some rattling or leakage of air. So some sound deadening and 2 6x9s, and you've got full subsonic bass. And that, by the way, guys, is with all the sound settings on this are completely flat. So obviously no extra bass, the EQ is dead flat. I haven't done time alignment yet. I don't know, I think I probably won't do time alignment, just because everything sounds so good as it is, and really all you need to do in these sorts of cars is decide where you want your fader set, for 0, because at the moment when it's 0 there's so much sound coming from the back because of those 6x9s. So you could fade it forward a wee bit for a bit more surround. And also he's probably taking passengers in this car, so we don't want to set up a time alignment where the best sound is over here, because that means anyone in my position is not going to sound as good, it's going to sound a bit funny. So I think we'll probably leave the time alignment at 0, but let him decide where he wants the fader to be set. The only setting I have adjusted on this for sound is the crossover. I've left the rear channels completely open, because those 6x9s can go all the way down. I have adjusted, however, the crossover on the front speakers. I think I've set that at around about 63 hertz at a 12 decibel slope. I just did that to protect them a wee bit, because you can turn it all the way to the front and you can hear that they're not making much bass at all. The way I figure out how to set my crossovers, my high pass filters for speakers, usually, if we're not using a subwoofer and I just want to protect the speakers a wee bit, what I do is I turn the high pass filter on to about 12 decibel slope, and I go all the way down to its lowest setting, which is usually something like 22 hertz or something. And then what I do, with a relatively bassy song on and the volume up, is I slowly turn up the frequency until I start hearing an audible difference in the sound. So the minute I start hearing the bass being reduced from the speakers, I then go back a click. So say I'm on 63 hertz, everything sounds normal, and then I go to 80 hertz, and then I can hear there's a little bit less bass than before. I then go back to 63 hertz and set it at that, so that the high pass filter is cutting off pretty much everything that the speaker is already not producing. Also, the speaker is producing all the sound that it possibly can. So that's how I set up the high pass filter on, front speakers, just for protection. If I had done a subwoofer or something like that, and obviously a different car, because like I say, we don't need subwoofers in these cars. If I had done a subwoofer, like a 12 inch, which is about an 80 hertz sort of low pass filter, depending on how powerful it is, then yeah, usually I would set all the speakers to at least 80 hertz or maybe 63 hertz and cut them off completely there. But when we're not running a subwoofer and I'm just using all the speakers for the bass, and I know that some speakers are going to be more bassy than others, for instance 6x9s are going to be way bassier than 5 1/4 inch speakers, then, or 4 inch speakers, some cars have 4 inch speakers, then yeah, I'd turn the high pass filter on and figure out audibly which setting is going to be best, just for the protection. It's not for any, you know, sound difference. I just want to put that on there to protect the speakers, because there's no point in having 4-inch or 5 1/4 inch speakers trying to produce, you know, frequencies anywhere between 20 and 40 hertz, because they're just not going to do it, or anywhere between 20 and 80 hertz. It's not like 4 inches definitely are going to produce sounds as low as 80 hertz, and that's not because the speaker isn't moving to that frequency. It's just that it doesn't have the raw power or the enclosure to make the sound, make the air vibrate at that frequency. When a 4-inch speaker or a small speaker can't produce bass, or even a 6x9, if it's not producing bass, it's not the speaker's fault. The speaker will be producing all of those sounds. If you've got the you know, the crossover wide open, it will be making all the sounds. What's different is it won't be, say it's in a good enclosure like a door, it won't have the power to move all the air in that door for you to be able to hear it. Or what it will be doing is it'll be making all the bass, but the metal of the door or the parcel tray will be absorbing it and flexing it out. So basically, say you've got a 6x9 there, 6x9 in there producing a 30 hertz tone. What it might be doing is a lot of that kinetic movement from the speaker is simply being absorbed by the metal, when the metal flexes. So the way you get rid of that is you put sound deadening on the metal to prevent the metal from flexing, and that way all the bass ends up coming out of the speaker into the air as opposed to into the metal where it gets absorbed. The other reason for a speaker not to produce bass is it's not in a good enough enclosure. For instance, these 5 1/4s are in a tiny little enclosure in the kick panel here, so there is very little air in there. A lot of people don't realize this, but the sound you hear, especially with bass, isn't actually the speaker vibrating, it's the air around it vibrating. And that's why, you know, subwoofers need to be in a big box. We get a lot of customers coming in saying, I want a slimline subwoofer, or I want a subwoofer in the back of my ute, but I want it to be under the seat and not take up any space. And I always say to people, well, why do you think you know, big PA systems at concerts and things, why do you think they have subwoofers in such huge boxes? It's because that's what's necessary to make the bass. You need a big amount of air around a subwoofer, whether it be in a ported box or a sealed box. That air needs to be there to vibrate and for you to be able to hear it. As an experiment, I mean, that you guys may or may not have the resources to do this. If you've got a subwoofer in your car, put on like a relatively bassy song, like, you know, something either hip hop or you know, dubstep or electronic or anything like that. Put that song on, unscrew the screws to your subwoofer, and like add a sort of medium-ish volume so that you're not, you know, hurting yourself or your speaker or anything. Add a medium volume, unscrew all the screws for your subwoofer, and then just gently lift it out of the box as the bass note is playing, and you'll hear the audible difference in the bass loss. And then put it back in the box and you'll hear all the bass come back. It's because it's vibrating the air in the box and not actually the speaker vibrating itself. If you had the speaker out of the box, it's just you're gonna hear the sound of it moving, like you're going to hear the sound of it like moving through the air, creating air noise, but then you put it back in the box and all of the air inside of it gets compressed and stretched, and it's, I mean, I could get real technical with this and start talking about SPL, which is the pressure inside the box, but I'm not going to go there. I'm just saying that you want to have good air cavities around your speakers, like good sort of like 20 litres plus ideally. A big sort of station wagon door, that is an ideal, or maybe not a station, like a sedan door or a station wagon door, that is an ideal enclosure for a 6-inch speaker. The problem with all that though is that it's still made of metal, which it flexes and absorbs the bass. So the best thing you can do is put sound deadening on it. I think I've rambled on about the enclosure spaces and the sound deadening a bit too much now, so I'm going to cut back to to showing you guys the sound system. Real quick on that note, talking about air volume and subs and things like that in cars, I just want to quickly put my personal opinion in about these so-called under-seat subs, you know, the things that look like a sort of a medium-sized amplifier with a 8-inch or sometimes 10-inch slimline subwoofer loaded into them. I could go into a whole lot of detail, but I'll try and keep it quick. I think they are a have, I think they are a marketing con. I refuse to sell them here. We can get them even from really good manufacturers like Focal and Rockford Fosgate. I think they're a have because there is no air around that subwoofer to vibrate and make sound. I've installed 2 or 3 of these in the past, back when we was, you know, when they were a new thing, and all they really did, this is going to sound a bit weird, all they really are is a seat vibrator. They vibrate the seat up and down, you can feel it in your butt, but you can't hear a thing. They don't make bass. Just wanted to give you guys my opinion. and say, I mean, if you're looking at buying one of those, talk to me about it in the comments below, because I don't want you guys to buy one and then be disappointed with them. My opinion is they're a have, don't get one. If you've got any more questions about, you know, ideal mounting locations or ways to get more bass out of your speakers without doing a subwoofer, for instance, you have a ute or a vehicle where you just don't want to put a subwoofer in, let me know in the comments box, in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer your questions and give you solutions as to how you do that. Sometimes, though, just be warned, sometimes the only way to do that is with sound deadening, and sound deadening, honestly, like, I'm being honest here, sound deadening is not the cheapest product. It's not because the product itself is expensive or complicated, it's that a lot of time, if you go to somewhere professional like us, it does take a long time to do it professionally and properly and get it all applied. But yeah, let me know in the comments section. Back to the car. And other nice little touches that we do, put another little Alpine Type R emblem down here just where the gear shifter is, and then see the Dynamat sticker at the very back, just there. So just here by the grill, we got this nice rubberized sort of 3D Dynamat sticker, and it's cool because you can see the Dynamat through the grill here, so that's kind of another little branding rep sort of thing. Looks cool. So I'm gonna hop out now. So yeah, I always love it when we do sound systems into these 70s and 80s cars, because we always know from beginning, we know what speakers sound good in them, and we know that the sound system is going to be great, even if you don't do front speakers or an amplifier. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Yeah, quick wee rundown of a system we just installed. I might also stick some photos up at the end of this video of the Range Rover and Caravan that I did. I thought about making a video for that, but decided not to in the end, but I did take some pictures, and also stick some more better, I'll stick some pictures of this gear at the end of the video as well, and on my Audio.etc Facebook page, so you can check them out in higher detail. So that's all from me. My name's James, you've been watching Audio.etc. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and remember to like and subscribe. Have a good one.